Good evening. I'm Valerie Austin and the author of the Student's Comprehensive Guide for College and Other Life Lessons. I wrote the book to assist high school students and their parents to navigate the journey of careers in college. I am also the host of the Employer Speaks series, which is designed to highlight different careers and the paths to achieving those careers. Today, the topic concerns Parent-Teacher-Student Associations, or PTSAs. I have two very special Employer Speaks guests, Tonda Bean and Robert Shaw, who have served in various PTSA roles. Tonda Bean is a parenting and education strategist and founder of her own company, Wisdom in Minutes, Youth Success Strategies. She has coached over 900 students and her own children through K-12 into outstanding universities such as Harvard University. Tonda has also helped to launch students into adulthood and their chosen career fields. In the process, she has held Parent-Teacher Association and PTSA leadership positions from the elementary through high school level, as well as been a Girl Scout leader for over 10 years. Robert Shaw is a senior logistician and a consultant who is currently assigned to the Department of Homeland Security. Previously, he served in the United States Air Force and retired after a 24-year career. While stationed in various communities, Robert volunteered to fill many roles within the PTSA as his children attended school. He served on several PTSA committees and served as a PTSA President from 2009 to 2011. I am truly honored to have Tonda and Robert in this discussion about the benefits of a strong PTSA and its importance in advocacy, supporting each child's journey from elementary school through high school. Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
And how often did you have to pay dues?
Once a year, yes.
So for all of this power and all of this input to the PTSA and the school administration, you only had to pay once a year?
Once a year. No, we did not go back out holding out the can. You know, you got that dues usually when school started and you had your back to school nights and so on. Would set up the table and you know, renew membership or get new membership. And ours was we had a family, or you could have you know, sometimes student, they were discounted, and also for teachers.
Well, let me ask you this. If you all raise money for a particular school year, does it carry over to the next year? And do you ever get audited from district and national level?
You definitely, that was one of the things, the treasurer, they had to be audited at least once a year.
Mm-hmm.
If something came up and you know, I as the president probably could, you know, say, hey, I need an audit, but mandatory once a year.
Mm-hmm.
And
did the money carry over?
And you could carry over, and above did not like you carrying over too much money. So
you didn't do anything with it.
Well, no. You know, sometimes whatever, and you carried over a little bit more than you wanted to, and you know, national or district may say, nah, you know, try and use everything within the year, but you were allowed to carry over a certain amount. Okay. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tonda, let me ask you this then. So you're raising money, you're communicating with the administration, you're getting information, communication from the students and the teachers and the parents. Why might a PTS be discounted as ineffective in the community? And is this a fair assessment? Why would you have ineffective PTSAs if they're so wonderful?
Again, the PTSA is only as strong as the parents that hold it up. So in some communities and in some schools, people talk a big game about valuing kids, but if you have to go out of your way, you know, if it's inconvenient and it costs a little money, they don't necessarily show up to do these extra things. And a lot of people don't understand just how powerful the PTSA can be. And so there's this, oh, well, it's just more and more thing to do, when really it will help on a personal level and on a systemic level to get information, because information is valuable. Yeah, so if you can be there, it's great. But if you wind up in a place, and I've been, you know, in some PTSAs where everybody there was head of a committee at the main meeting, and there were about 6 people, and that's really going to make it very hard for the PTSA to be effective, because you don't have that participation.
Well, some would say, well, parents have jobs, they
Yes,
have to take care of the kids, they don't have transportation.
absolutely, and I understand that. But if you have a "I'm going to make a difference" kind of attitude, and you can only make a difference one time a year, one night a year, show up that night. Do a great job that one night, and that will make a difference. And people say, "Oh, you're so-and-so's mother, you're so-and-so's father, oh." And they get to know you, you get to know them, you're standing up for them in that community, and it makes a difference. One night, do it, one night, and everybody can squeeze off one night, one event. A lot of times you can just send something. We are raising money for such and such a thing. Send $5. You know they're trying to do something. Send them $5. Okay? Be in there some way. Send an email. Design a flyer for somebody. You can call people. You can be the one to solicit at wherever you work. Can you contribute to this? Can I post a sign in the break room about the mulch sale? Do you mind? Post a sign about the mulch sale. If you decide you are going to be in it, there is a way for you to be in it. There is a way for you to make that a better place.
Okay, so you're not resigned to doing everything.
Right.
It's the collective. It's what you can support that particular point in time, and you're still making the PTSA stronger.
Yes, there's an old saying that you should never let what you can't do get in the way of your doing what you can.
Okay, I like that. So I'm gonna segue to Robert and then say, so with PTSAs, how do you communicate with parents and students? Is it word of mouth, social media, distribution to children, phone trees? And what do you think it might be the most effectiveness? So how do you get the word out to these parents and students?
Various ways, and you have hit on just about all. We had a paper that the PTSA put out.
Oh, you published the paper?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, called it Brewing Voices, and we also used the school's paper, certainly by email, the end of the year or whenever, if we had stuff to go home to parents, we would print it off and so on, distribute it, and each teacher would add it to the packet of things, the communication the students took home. So that was one way, and depending on what it was, we would also put it in the local paper, and that was one way to, after our all night graduation party, everybody who contributed to would go in. We had donor levels, gold level, diamond level, and so on.
So businesses could actually contribute.
So yes, businesses would see themselves getting thanks for their contribution and so on. I don't think Facebook was, because I didn't have it at that time, but but I know that they now have it, because I check on them and they are in Facebook. They use all the the facets of media.
So from your perspective, at the time that you were PTSA president and treasurer, what was the most effective method?
The most effective was picking up that phone, calling somebody.
The phone?
Yeah, we did that.
You use the phone? Okay.
Yeah, and believe it or not, I got a lot of responses too from emails, because there were a couple of times when we needed parents, like we were, you know, bad snowstorm, and we send out a blast, say, hey, we need to help to go shovel snow and so on. Great response. On the other side, beautification, you know, so email was also, they responded very much to email. But I'll go back to what Tanya said. I had a lot of people who said the same thing. I'm so busy, but please, whenever you really need me, just let me know. And they showed up. They showed up. Even if it's one time a year, you know, you don't abuse it. I really need you now. And they showed up.
Okay. So Tommy, do you agree that the most effective method was phone and email in your circumstance, or was it something else?
There was let me tell you about the beauty of the email being on their listserv. And even if you can't show up to the meetings and such, being on the email TA gets you so much information, and things like scholarships. You asked about scholarships. If something comes into the counselor's office and the counselor wants to push it out to students, a lot of times they will hand it to the PTA and say, okay, you know, we have this coming up with, you know, we have a Shakespeare in the Parks program that kids can apply to. We have a this, that, and the other. And they will push it to the PTA, and it will come out and under your PTA email. So that alone is worth, you know, the $20, $30, or whatever it is, for getting all this access to email. And a lot of times, you know, it's how you find out what's going on in the community and how you find out what's going on this summer and that sort of thing.
Well, let me ask you this. People care about the community and they care about the schools in their community. What happens if you're not a parent? Should you even get involved in the PTSA?
Well, the PTSA always, you know, they have fundraisers and such, so you can always buy something, whatever they're selling. But the main thing for to be a member of the PTSA is they want you to be attached to a child. That's the main thing, is you're pretty much attached to a student. So you may be the aunt, you know, but that's fine, but they don't usually have people who are not attached to a student in the PTSA. It's a lot of work.
But the good thing about it in terms of, if you put something, I think, Robert, you said you sometimes would put it in the local newspaper, maybe it might be a non-parent who's willing to donate money for, I don't know, not uniforms, but yeah, sports uniforms or to fix something. So is that something that your organization, your PTSA, also didn't have non-parents involved?
Yeah, we had non-parents, although let me tell you a little bit about why we prefer they were members. I mentioned about the mulch.
Mm-hmm.
If you were not a member, we would not allow you to drive the truck, mm-hmm. simply because insurance? Of liability. Yeah. No, simply because of liability. You know, they were covered somewhat by the insurance of. Yeah. So there were certain things that we would prefer you, but they, you know, I'll go back to the all-night grad party. That night, we would take aunts, grandparents, and so on, who would come in, and because they came in town to be at the graduation for their niece, nephew, whatever. And, you know, we would accept them as volunteer, being part of that chaperone.
It's time to say attached to a child.
Attached to a child, yes. So there were certain things, if it constituted somewhat of a liability, then we may kind of say no. But you know, we try not to turn away. We found way we could use volunteer presence. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So and I'll start off with Robert, because I'm talking to you right now, and we'll segue to Tonda. So does each PTSA create its own bylaws? Like you want to go rogue, or do you fall under the district and the national bylaws? How does that work?
There is a basic, I would say, outline template. We attach certain things specific to our PTSA at our school, but we still had to fall, there was overarching, you cannot get out of the box. You had to stay.
You pay those dues to national.
But you could tweak it to your specific situation. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Tanya, did you find the same thing?
Oh yeah, yeah. And that's where you get the different configurations on what kind of vice presidents you have, and what happens as far as the mini grants or something else. That all comes into the individual PTSA.
Okay, so it's unique. It's unique to them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I'll stay with you, Tanda. So is there interaction in the role PTS performs with the community, teachers unions, businesses, local state policymakers, or is that again at the district and the national level? So how do you interact with the community in general?
Well, there's just the there's the overarching, the levels that happen. Now, if you're talking about national issues, usually it's going to be the national PTA that's working with that. However, there is a space where they start trying to get people to show up to rallies or to show up to hearings or to show up to school board meetings. And a lot of times the local PTAs will say, okay, we're going to try to send people. We need high school students. We need high school students where they're going to be talking about high school programs at the school board this time. And we need some high school students, and they'll reach to the PTA to say, can we get some high school students and parents to come and testify on science in the schools or whatever.
Okay. Okay, it makes sense, and it's a good thing too. So let me ask you this, Robert. How can the PTSA help working mothers and fathers who, they have children? We've already talked about distance learning, but how does the PTSA help working parents and who they just don't have time? Well, they say they just don't have time. How can they still help them? How can they still advocate for them? How can they get that bridge to find out what their needs are?
Communication, and this is where, that network too, because there's sometimes things come to us and we hear and try to help, or we accommodate. I'll give you a great example. Mm-hmm. We used to have meetings at a certain time. And then it came to us and, they said, why don't you have some morning meetings or that type of thing? And one of our vice president remembered years ago, they had what was called Principal's Coffee. And we varied that time. And that was such a godsend and a blessing. I saw grandparents, and I remember, a couple of grandparents, and they said, yeah, we are the caregiver, but we couldn't come, but you changed this for this time, and this is the only time we made it worth their while. There was signing up for certain, like I guess it was Blackboard or Naviance, whatever it was. The principal made sure that those people were there, so they signed them up so they could access those things. All the teachers or counselors, so that they, were there and they, to answer the questions, but yeah, we listened. And that Principal Coffee, if I could point to maybe one of the 3 top successes, it was that to help, but, losing childcare and so on, find, if somebody could volunteer to help that particular parent or so on. I don't think we ever say, well, paid, but we tried as a village to take care of our own.
Okay, all right. And again, the working parent who says, well, I just don't have transportation, or I don't have childcare, I don't have this. They have an outlet where they can actually ask for help and they don't have to feel alone. We keep hearing power of the collective. That's where the PTSA comes in. Okay, I'm gonna ask you both. What is one strength and one weakness of the PTSA as an organization? And what, in your experience, makes the PTSA work? And I'll start off with Tanda.
Well, again, I come back to the PTSA is only as strong and as effective as the parents of the school. So the beautiful strength of the PTA is the determination and the parents' creativity, that stick-to-itiveness, that, okay, we're going to have this sale and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And we would find that the schools were polling places. We would wind up having election day bake sales. And so people would be, scheduled to bring things at different times because the polls are open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. or something like that. And you had to have constant churn on donuts and cookies, all of this. So it's all about the parents being willing to put their part in and support each other. And the weakness is when people start with the, oh, I can't, and give up. We cannot give up. We cannot give up on our own, and we cannot give up on our community.
Okay. And so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to turn this to Robert.
Same question, huh? And Donna, you pretty much took my answer, but I had some other things, and the strength of ours was the membership diversity, both cultural and across the whole board, working together for a common purpose. And, that was just such a powerful, thing. I remember, just watching a student, I forget what we were doing. We were manning a table at the back to school night. And, the student came in, and he was one of our PTS students, and he was there to interpret for the other parents. Granted, we had flyers and so on printed in several languages, but just to see how multicultural and how it brought everybody together. So I'm going to, as I said, membership diversity and working together for that common good. And weakness, bad leadership. Yeah.
Okay. Could you expound on it a little bit? Bad leadership.
There are times when, a leader can set the tone. You may have strong other positions and so on, and they can do. You need somebody to set that vision, set that tone, know how to get everybody, to work as a cohesive unit, and kind of get out of their way if things are going well, and sometimes kind of go in and help, tweak or say, hey, this is kind of where I think, we should go, and get that buy-in and so on. But if there's no imagination, that can destroy what could have otherwise have been a fantastic PTSA.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, all I can say is you both have provided such wonderful insights into what makes a PTSA or PTA a source of communication, a source of strength for parents and students and teachers and administrators. And I really appreciate all of your input and all of your comments and your your discussion, because I learned some things that I didn't even know about what a PTSA is and what it does. So this has been quite an enlightening discussion. And I'll give you the opportunity. Is there anything you'd like to add? Anything?
No, I would just like to add, for people who have been on the fence saying, no, I don't want to join the PTA or PTSA, I would tell them, give it a shot. There's something there for them. Most of the ones I know, certainly mine, and I'm not bragging, but we made a difference in students' lives and in teachers' lives. Before every meeting and so on, I had a one-on-one with the principal. And, so I knew his vision. I knew some of what he wanted. And he would tell me, I need the PTSA's help in doing this. And, how better can it be? And vice versa. Sometimes I would say, hey, I need your help now. But no, give it a try. I don't think you'll regret it, especially if you've got one that has good leadership.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a plan. And Tonda, you have anything?
I think that it's just wonderful when people put their part in. It's a whole event that can happen. There are events that can happen that really are joyous and make community and make relationship. When I was in elementary school, we used to have a day about everybody eats rice. And so people, all the families would come and they'd have rice, and you'd have the rice with all the greens cut into it from the Latin American countries, and you'd have beans and rice from New Orleans. We're from New Orleans. And we had rice with different ways, fried rice, and all these different ways of fixing rice. And people would just take little Dixie cups and go around the room with everybody eats rice. Mm-hmm. And we'd have, in middle school, we had international dinners. And in high school, there is that after party prom. All of those are places where people put their one little bit in. They bring their one dish, and lo and behold, there's a banquet. And that's what the PTSA is. Everybody brings their one bit, and all of a sudden there's this wonderful banquet of opportunities, of ideas, of creativity, and there's a community built and a good feeling in the school facilitated by the PTSA.
Okay. So on that note, again, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you being a part of my Employer Speak series. And I think that this was something that anybody, teacher, parent, student, administrator, can learn from. So thank you guys so much.
Thanks to you for the opportunity. I certainly enjoyed it.
Okay, great.
Thank you so Valerie.
Much. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. This ends part 2 of The Power of the PTSA. Thank you for watching.